Hi, everybody. Are we good? Can everybody hear me? Yes? Maybe? Hopefully? Let's see. I think everything is rolling. Hi, everybody. I'm assuming volume is good. Fingers crossed. But hi. Welcome to my hangout in the storage unit where I am back in Missouri, listening to a lot of Christmas music with my family. But yeah, hi. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited everybody's hopping in. Welcome, welcome. Uh, First of all, hi everybody. Happy holidays. I hope everybody's having a great start to winter. Happy winter solstice. Today is the shortest day of the year. Hopefully, from here on out, it just gets a little bit better for riding. I know we're about to get winter in Oregon. I'm in Missouri right now visiting my family, but yeah, I am super excited to be here. Also, really just excited to talk about the year that was 2023. I know for a lot of us, it's been a big year for a lot of different reasons. And talk about 2024 and what's coming up next season and the different projects I have going on. So, I think first and foremost, I want to bring up that if you don't know already, Ben, aka Dorkintheroad, and I have started a podcast. It's called Internet Writing Buddies, and it has been really fun to record this with Ben. Ben and I got this idea probably about 2 months ago. And essentially, how we came across this idea was Ben and I were having a lot of these conversations on the phone pretty frequently about motorcycles, about the ADV community, and things like that. And we kind of got to a point where we were finally like, why are we not having these conversations and making them available to everybody else, particularly when it comes to gear, when it comes to motorcycles, when it comes to rallies and everything else. So we just kind of decided to hit the record button and see how it went. And now we have our podcast. So if you don't know about it already, I'll just say it again. It's Internet Writing Buddies. I posted an episode on my YouTube as well as Ben. Ben posted the first two. I believe the third one will come out on Monday, just the video. So we will be posting the video. So if you want to watch us interact, which can be pretty hilarious, I'll give you that. It'll be on his YouTube page from now on. If you want to listen while you're at the gym, while you're driving to work, etc., our podcast will be on Spotify. I'm currently trying to get us connected to all the different avenues for podcasts. Right now, it's just Spotify, and I haven't had the time to integrate us into other streaming for podcasts. So I promise you will get other avenues for that very shortly. I only have so many hours in the day, and it's also a holiday, so I'm trying to spend time with my family. But anyway, podcast, check. Please give us a subscribe on that. I promise you won't be disappointed. In general, though, I'm getting very excited. I have a big January coming up. In January, I will start building out my Transalp. So Ben and I bought the 2024 Honda Transalp 750 XLs in October. And while Ben has been out enjoying a lot of time on his bike, mine has been sitting in the garage. And one of the reasons that mine has been sitting in the garage is because I plan to do a big aftermarket build on the bike. And I want to go through the step-by-step process of what goes into an aftermarket build to show that, one, you can do it out of your own garage at home. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of a learning curve for sure. But the idea is to show that you can do it if you put the time in. So I'm looking forward to that. I have, I think, a whole bunch of different brands. I had to make a list earlier because I couldn't remember all of them. So I feel very fortunate. Outback Motor Tech has been an ally of mine since I really got into ADV riding. I have a full crash kit from them that I'll be installing on the Honda Transalp. I also be working with Moto Machines. They have also provided some aftermarket parts, as well as Molecule Motorsports. Hi, Seth. Double take mirrors, rocks, risers. I need risers. I'm 5'10". very tall on the bike. It makes it a lot easier to ride off-road when I can stand easily and maneuver around. Pivot pegs. I know a lot of people have their foot peg preferences. I had pivot pegs on my Honda CB500X, and I swear by them. I don't know what it is about it, but I find it so easy to maneuver on the bike with those pegs. So I'll be going with pivot pegs again. I'm also working with quad lock, like a lot of other people in the moto community, Senna as well. Hippo hands, of course. I've been working very closely with Hippo hands and doing videography content for them throughout the fall. Alpine Stars, always be in Alpine Stars gear. I'm actually really excited because Alpine Stars is hooking me up with a very cool suit that is Honda sponsored. So that will be really fun to wear, and it matches the Transalp. So going to be looking pretty color coordinated and very fancy. Yeah, and I've got a custom seat from Sargent Seat. They're a great seat company. I have one of their seats on the Honda on my CB500X as well. And I'm really excited because I have their first Transalp seat. We did kind of an experiment to see how the build would go. So very pumped about that. I got a Yoshi exhaust. I also have Dunlop tires, and I think that's it off the top of my head for now. But that's where we're starting at, and it's going to be very fun. But yeah, I guess open-ended floor if anybody has any questions. Obviously, that's the start of my year. There's going to be a lot of very interesting things that I think happen throughout the first couple months of the year. I hope everybody stays tuned. How do I feel about the weight of the Transalp versus the CB500X? Well, they're about the same. They're not that much different. One of the things that I think is beneficial about the Transalp is more power. The Honda CB500 is a great bike. I really love it. But the Transalp has a little bit more power, and it has a little bit more steering capability, a little bit bigger of a turn, or sharper of a turning radius, I should say. And it's also a lot more aerodynamic. It is meant to be a touring bike. So those longer days on the highway. Ben, aren't you supposed to be at a dinner? Get out of here. But yes, I'm a huge fan of the Transalp and the CB500X. They are about the same in weight, though. There's not a huge weight difference. But thank you for the question. Yes, I have makeup on. For those of you who aren't used to it, I am at home with my folks, and we had a lovely dinner this evening. So I was, more dressed up than normal. Yes, Ben, I am. I'm in the storage unit that I sleep in when I'm home at my parents' place because they have a wonderful ranch here where they're building a home, but due to COVID, that building project got sidetracked. So the guest room is not exactly ready for me, and I am still in the storage unit. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. I'm in the garage. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Ben would look a little bit better if he touched up the eyes, but that's up to him. Yeah, but let's talk about 2023. So a lot of you already know that I went to Southeast Asia last spring. I was in Vietnam, Bali, and Thailand. And it was an incredible 3-month trip. When I was in Vietnam, I got to spend 6 weeks touring around there, had a wonderful time. I really fell in love with Vietnam in a way that I haven't fallen in love with a lot of other places. Bali was very fun. I kind of got another taste of touring life after working for Ride Adventures in 2022 and 2021. And then Thailand was kind of its own animal. In Thailand, I got to ride not a Honda. I got to ride a Harley Davidson Pan America around Thailand, which all by itself was an experience when you're on that big of a bike and people aren't used to seeing those big bikes. It's exciting. But yeah, overall, I think Asia is a great trip. That was my spring. Pause. Do you have any big rides or trips planned? Yeah. This is going to be an interesting spring for me because I have a lot of tentative plans. And I actually am going to be doing a snow bike trip at the end of February and early March. I've never been on snow bikes before, but I will actually be doing a snow bike tour with, I believe, a group of women in Montana. And I'm really looking forward to that. Yes, Ben, getting there. I might be going to Africa in late June. It's all tentative to what else might come into my schedule. Yes, and Ben and I will actually be doing the NorCal BDR on our Transalps in July, which will be a really, really fun trip. Obviously, we'll be there. It's not as difficult as the southern part of the California BDR, but I'm looking forward to it. One of my biggest goals for the start of this year is to ride off-road all the time. After my wreck in 2022, I really kind of lost my edge with off-road riding. And one of my biggest goals for this year is to get back to where I was before I wrecked. Not the reckless part of it, but at least the skill set of it. That's why I plan on doing a lot of trainings actually for the next 2 to 3 months. I'll be doing at least 3 different training weekends for dirt riding as well as ADV riding, big bike riding. And and looking forward to kind of having a summer filled of riding weekends. I'm going to catch up here. Yes, Bob, I would love to go to Scotland. Ben, would you like to go to Scotland? Because I think we should. Any surprises regarding the Transalp? How much I fell in love with it. It's a huge surprise. That's been a huge theme, I think, for a lot of people with this bike. There is this idea for a while that the Transalp was going to be a competitor for the Tenere 700. And when it wasn't, I think a lot of us, including me originally, were disappointed. But once I got on the bike and I realized it was just a bigger version of my CB500X, I was completely sold. It's everything I ever wanted in an ADV bike because it's not an ADV bike. It's not a big dirt bike. It's a touring bike that you can take off road. And that is more of my style of riding when it comes to adventure riding, because as a videographer and as somebody who does a lot of guerrilla filmmaking, I can't be doing super, super high level ADV stuff when I'm carrying thousands of dollars worth of film equipment with me. It's just, if I do, I'm not thrashing it out. I'm taking my time, grandma riding, as I call it. So for me, having a bike like this that I know I can take off road in any kind of terrain I want and be safe and have a great time, it's a perfect bike for me. So I think my biggest surprise was just how much I fell in love with it and also how quickly, because, oh my God, it's so fun to ride off-road and on-road. And I think both Ben and Ian, Big Rock Moto, can vouch for that. Ian also has one. And when we were in Julian, California for the ADV rally in November, he was obsessed with his bike. So I think it has won our love all around. Let's see. East Coast. Transalps at Klein. Ben, I'll cheer you on if you want to go ride at Klein. All right. So I guess back to 2023, we'll briefly gloss over that. So I don't know if a lot of you remember, but I got a very big filming project with Veterans Back 40 in June, where I filmed a documentary alongside Alex Chacon, basically following a trip of veterans riding adventure bikes from Astoria, Oregon, up to Tuktoyaktuk in Alaska and back. And essentially the big accomplishment there was the Dempster Highway. But in addition to that, one of the things we highlighted was, of course, shedding light on the veteran and active duty suicide epidemic in our military right now. And it was such an incredible experience. I feel so lucky to have been a part of it. And at the same time, I'm also really excited because our editing and production on it is starting to come together. The film should be available for everybody by the end of March or early April. I'm hoping that we'll have a trailer cut by the end of January. That's the idea right now. It's been an ongoing project because we did run into a little bit of legal things in the fall. But once we were able to work through those and make sure the project was completely greenlit, it was to work. So we had 8 terabytes of video to go through, which for those of you who aren't exactly aware, that's a lot. It's a shit ton of footage. It's a lot to sift through. So It's been a task, but it's been so incredible, and I think one of the best parts about that trip was walking away feeling more educated about an issue that I didn't know about and making lifelong friends. So, such an incredible project I feel lucky to be a part of. And okay, quickly back to the questions. I would love to do the tat crashy. I think when I have talked to a few people that have done it, it needs to be before the end of July is the best time. But yeah, I think that's definitely on my list. So let's try and get a trip on the books at some point, please. Um, let's see. Can't wait to see it. Yeah, I am really excited to share this documentary with everybody. I think because, especially right now, we have a lot of conflict in the world. And I think knowing that we need to take care of our active duty and veteran military service members is so important. You know, the idea of community and looking out for each other is something that often gets lost these days. And particularly amongst vets, I think they're some of the best people. They have sacrificed so much for us, and being able to give back to them, even just by being able to shed light and open people's eyes to the problem that is suicide within the military community is very, very important. And I feel very grateful and honored to be a part of spreading that message. Let's see. Do I do a lot of solo shoots, or is it a team? It's both. So I'm very lucky that I can film by myself. Granted, I usually am the person that's behind the camera. I have taken a lot of painstaking efforts, even though I obviously do have my YouTube channel. I do have an Instagram where I'm posting on there quite a bit. I pride myself in being what I call a non-influencer. I'm a videographer. I'm behind the camera. I want to do things that way. So when I'm helping other brands and other influencers, I can obviously do a one-man shoot. But usually, even though I started out doing a lot of solo stuff in the beginning of my videography career, I really try to focus on being the person behind the camera. When I do have to film myself, I have a lot of practice in the field, so it's not too difficult. It's just time consuming more than anything else, but it's a little bit of both. Thank you for the question, Bob. Doesn't the tat Oh, sorry. Let's see, Ed. A lot of vets. Yes. Ed, when I filmed the VB40 documentary, I felt so fortunate because I got a lot of veterans that started following our story, and it was cool to see that. It was cool to see the unbelievable amount of support that veterans had for each other when it came to that trip. And I loved being a part of it. I loved being able to share that with so many different veterans and military families. And I think that's one of the coolest aspects of the military community is just everybody is so supportive, particularly when it comes to this issue. Even when we were on the road, one of the biggest things that I noticed and that the guys noticed was just anywhere we would stop, people would ask us what we were doing, what we were filming, because Alex and I were running around with cameras and lighting and mics and everything. And the minute you start telling people, oh, yeah, like we're filming this documentary and this is what we're talking about, I can't tell you the number of people in parking lots that would just kind of stop and get teary eyed and sit with us for a minute and want to talk about their son that had died, wanted to talk about their daughter who had struggled, their husband who is still struggling and had been struggling for a lot of years, and how important of an issue they thought it was. And it was something that really pulled on our heartstrings, but also really inspired us and drove us and gave us purpose. And I think all of the guys along with me really felt that everywhere we went. We had so much support, not just within our group and not just within the community of people following us online. It was everywhere we went, anyone we met. And that was such a special experience. Let's see. It was Ed. Yes, Ben, the tat does take like a month, but your whole life is on motorcycles. What's a month? We could get a sidecar for Tara. I think that would be so much fun. We could probably talk her into it. Frank found a lot of, yes, there's a huge amount of veterans, I think, within the ADV community, and there's a lot of support. I mean, there's a lot of people that like adventure riding because it's an escape from the day to day. It's a hobby, it's a fun time, and it's what continues to drive us to go out and adventure and explore and get us out of sometimes the more mundane 9 to 5 existence that a lot of people have. So, yeah, I love this community, and it's absolutely wonderful. Ben, she wouldn't divorce you. Get out of here. Hi, Ian's here. Sorry, I'm a little behind, Ian. I'm so glad you're here. I had pancakes the other morning and thought of you. I miss you. Mission 22. Yep. Thank you, Jeffrey. Hi, Brady. Oh, Brady, I miss you, dude. You're the best. Let's see. Scooters and waffles. So Rod, I actually never owned a Pan America, just to clarify here. I was very lucky that I've been able to work with people that work within Harley Davidson. And as a result, at a lot of different events and also at places around the world, I have been able to obtain and ride Harley Davidsons. And it's been incredible. I really do love the Pan America bikes. I will say I think they're more of a touring bike than an ADV bike. However, that's everybody has their own thing that they like. So Pan America might be up your alley. It's not mine. I need something a little lighter. I like something I can manage a little bit easier. And that's why I tend to stick to Hondas that I own. I also can't afford a motorcycle at 20 grand dry. That just is a little too steep for me. But if there's ever an opportunity to ride one, I won't pass it up. Let's see. Oh, yeah, sorry, Trans-America Trail. And yes, I do enjoy riding the Transalp more, Rod. It's just more of my type of bike. That's why. But again, to each their own. Yes, Trans-America Trail. Sidecar for Starbuck. Yes. Yeah, Brady, we'll have to talk about the TAD at some point. Would love to get your input on that, man. Let's see. Catching up here. Hi, Trav. Miss you, Trav. I think, Trav, you're healing up pretty nicely. Throw an update in the comments if you can. Ed, I gotta kick you. I'm looking forward to many more. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I guess my blog. So I obviously, a lot of you have noticed that my YouTube page has taken a different type of turn these days. Now, when I was really doing a lot of my cinematic videos that I started filming when I was on the road with Alex last summer in 2022, one of the reasons I kept doing that was because I wanted to get better at the camera. Obviously, my border to border trip along the West Coast was a huge deal for me. It was my first solo trip. It was my first time filming solo too, which if you've never done that before, holy shit, it's a lot. But it was such a great learning experience for me. And I really liked being able to build off of that. And I really, really also enjoyed learning how to essentially survive solo as a videographer. It's what made me really good at my job. However, when I went to Asia, my whole intention behind going to Asia was to film a whole video series. And I did. I actually have a ton of footage from Asia. But 4 days after I returned from Thailand, I got a text message from Brady, Meerkat ADV, love you, Brady, to go film the VB40 documentary. And then from there, I got home from filming that documentary and won an Emmy Award for a film Alex and I shot together the summer before. So for me, there was just no time to, again, produce the video series I wanted to on Asia. And so what I essentially had to do was say, Asia was a great learning experience, and that's it. And I still have a lot of great footage. I still have a lot of incredible shots I was able to get, but I was able to put the first episode for Vietnam together. And honestly, that was where my heart of hearts was Hanoi, was doing that ride north of Hanoi off-road, being able to get integrated in the culture and understand it there. And so when I started trying to revamp my YouTube channel, I just decided to go a completely different direction. I wanted to make it something easy for me since a lot of the more cinematic and heavier videography work has become a part of my professional life. And I thought it would just be fun for me, being the goofball that I am, to have everybody tag along with me when I'm doing these projects and when I'm going on the road and riding with Ben, or going out to do a cleanup with PLS, or going riding dirt bikes with my buddies out at Henderson Flats. So the idea was just to kind of have it be a change of pace, give you some insight into my life and to what it's like to be a videographer. And that's going to continue. Once we're back from the holiday, I actually have a new episode I'll be releasing next week, but they'll pretty much continue to be released every Friday. So I hope everybody enjoys them. It's just more of a way to connect with other people, to let you get to know me better, and also just to kind of show you, the work I put in with what I do. But yeah, thank you for being along for the ride. Let's see what I got. Waffles are pancakes with syrup holders. Yes, they are. Yes, also, yeah, smash the like button, everybody. Let's see. Trav, update. I can limp faster. Dude, I'm just glad you're doing better. It's all I care about. That's fucking fantastic. Yeah, for those of you who don't know Explore Adventure Moto, Trav, I'm pretty sure everybody in this chat does, but Trav had a very horrible incident when he was up in Canada and broke his leg, and he's been on the mend ever since. And Trav, we can't wait for you to heal up and be back riding with us, man. We love you. Let's see. Also, don't apologize, Brady. That trip was one of the best things I ever did. Get out of here. Bob, what's your go-to camera when solo? My video looks great. It depends on what I'm filming. So if I'm doing motorcycle filming on my helmet, just quick stuff here and there, I have GoPros. They're just easy. The quality on them is spectacular. It's a piece of cake. If I am filming actual, what I call cinematic footage, I have my Sony a7S III. It's my baby. I take that thing everywhere with me when I can. I also have a DJI Mavic 3 Pro drone that I take everywhere with me as well. And it gets some of the most unbelievable footage that you could ask for from a drone. So those are my go-to pieces that I use for filming, and it works out great for me. Jeffrey Thompson, new bikes are used. Never had a new one. All right. So this is actually a great story. I don't buy anything new. However, the last 2 Hondas I have bought have been new. Gasp. Yeah, when I bought my CB500X, my 2021, it was new. And one of the reasons I bought it new is because there was such a limited supply. That also came into play with the Transalp. I do believe that my lovely friend Ben, DorkintheRoad, called me and said that the lovely Power Sports dealership down the road from me had 2 Transalps in, and that I needed to find the money because we were going to buy bikes 2 days from the day of the phone call. And we did. And I think it's just an instinct sometimes with new bikes. I normally don't recommend it, especially if you are newer to adventure riding. If you've never been on an adventure bike, if you've never really gotten into that, buy something used. Buy something that's already a little beat up, a little bit worn in. So 1, you aren't afraid of dropping it. It's already been dropped plenty. But 2, if you hate it, you can resell the bike. I know plenty of people who have done 1 or 2 training courses or 1 or 2 gravel road rides with friends and think they want to be an ADV rider, and they try it for a couple weeks and it's just not their thing. So I highly recommend, if you're just getting into it, to buy used. If you know it's something you're committing to and it's something you're going to love, maybe buy new, but just be particular about what kind of bikes. A bike like a Honda is great because they're so reliable and they're just one of the best bikes on the market, hands down. If you're going to really invest in the sport, I think it's okay. But again, if you're newer, just getting into it, definitely buy used and don't bat an eyelash about it. Let's see. Jeffrey. Gas, beer, and yurts. Yeah, sounds good. And yes, GoPros do look great when they work. GoPros do have a tendency to malfunction. I feel like I have had a lot of very good luck with them. I do. So, Brady, great point to bring up. The 11s are way better than the 10s. My 10s do have a tendency to die randomly. I don't know why. However, I did get one of the new 12s, and it is unbelievably awesome. I have had no issues whatsoever, no heating, no battery issues, no dying randomly in the middle of a ride or in the middle of a film session. So I do think that it can work great. But yeah, let's see. There's Critter. Hi, Chris. Let's see. 360s are great. Yeah, the 360s are awesome. I think particularly with footage for like Instagram or even YouTube shorts and TikTok and stuff, the 360s are really fun. I think they capture those images that really make you feel like you're in the ride. Me being a videographer and being kind of painstaking with how I like things to look, it's not exactly something I play around with, but I do think that in certain circumstances, they're absolutely awesome. So yeah, 360s are great. Ben, I do agree. The peace of mind with the new bike is pretty great. I really do have issues myself personally sometimes. I think buying used in a non-ADV capacity. I bought a dirt bike that obviously was a friend of mine's, but I bought a very used 2004 Honda CRF 250X. I believe I bought that in September, October. And the reason I bought that bike used and secondhand, I think third hand at that point, was because I knew it was going to be a next step bike for me. I wanted to get back into dirt riding. I wanted to really get reintegrated into that. And I wanted a tractor. I wanted a bike I could rely on that would not let up with me. It wouldn't die. And that bike has been so wonderful and I love it. In those circumstances, yeah, used is great because it's going to be cheaper. And if it does peter out on you, who cares? But if you are investing, then I do think buying new is the right way to go. Itinerary. Watch videos. Yeah. Okay. So I know we all like to make fun of the fact that I can't kickstart my bike. Thanks, Ben, for pointing that out to everybody repeatedly. Um, um, my bike is a cold bike. If it is below 65 degrees, I have to kickstart it to get it running, even though it has a push start on it. But I am 5'10" and 145 pounds. I don't have a lot of weight to throw into it. And so sometimes it is a little easier for people who have a little bit more meat on their bones to kickstart the bike. Also, people who have a little bit more experience than I do. Again, I've only been off-road riding for a little over 2 years. So I do the best I can. I can kickstart my bike. It usually just takes me pretty much to the point of sweating before it happens. So yeah. Oh, Chris, get the hell out of here. I've missed the shit out of you, and you know it. I talked to you earlier. Get out of here. I love you. Gary, yes, he does like the Transalp. We both do. We made a video about it, and we also did an entire podcast episode about it. So yeah. Let's see. You guys are so funny. Climb sale. So I love climb gear. I think it's amazing stuff. I really, really do. I think the only issue I have with climb gear is how expensive it is. And also that I do think it's only meant for a certain type of climate, if that makes sense. I think that once it starts to get really warm, it doesn't matter how great those vents are. You're going to have some issues. So I do know that they make lighter weight stuff, but it's again, it's like a to each their own, just like it is with everything else. I'm a diehard Alpine Stars girl. I will be till the day I die. I have been supported by them since day one, and I think they make some of the best riding gear kits for adventure riding out there. But I know a lot of people swear by climb, and I do think if you are a little bit more of a hardcore advanced level ATV rider, that's definitely the way to go. No, Brady, I did not call him fat. I just said he was meatier than me, which he is, and he knows it. Trav, I do squats in the gym 4 days a week. It doesn't make a difference, man. Let's see. Mr. Shadow, message retracted. I don't know what that was, but I think it would be entertaining. Krios Bro, saved my life this year. Thank you for that, Trav. Let's see. As far as helmets, wear the one that fits best. I totally agree with that. And Brady, that's a great point. Everybody has a different shaped head. I have a very tiny skull. And so I tend to be a little bit smaller in the helmet region. I do love my Schuberth. When I've been touring in the past, it's such a comfortable helmet for touring. But obviously when I do dirt riding and everything else, I have an Alpine Stars helmet, and it's wonderful. Let's see. Yeah, brand is irrelevant. The helmet has to fit you. Yes, I do skip leg day 3 days a week. Stop trying to make me feel bad about myself, Ben. Climb for men seems to be more American built. Yeah, I think it is more aimed towards American men. I think European guys are a little bit slimmer, so maybe not as built for them, but I can't really attest to that because I'm a chick. So unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that. Yeah, keep the questions coming, everybody. I'll keep on with my random monologue. So coming back to the VB40 project, we finished that up. In July, I won an Emmy. In August, I moved back to Bend, Oregon, and essentially just started riding all the time. Along with riding all the time, getting back into off-roading and all the other things, I also started a documentary project, a solo documentary project, working with public land stewards in Bend. And this is something I'm super passionate about. So if I soapbox too long, feel free to throw a comment in. But public land stewards is something that I really believe in, because if you are an ADV rider or a dirt rider, dual sport rider, whatever the hell you want to identify as, public lands are a huge source of where we ride. We go onto public lands all the time. We camp on public lands. We go to OHV areas. We utilize them consistently. And one of the bigger issues we're starting to see out in the Western US is public land closures. And particularly in Moab, I know a lot of people have been panicking about the Moab thing, myself included, because it starts somewhere. And there are two reasons that public lands close. One of them is environmental. So it's either to protect a species, or weather comes through and there's a reason to close it because there's been a big washout or avalanche or whatever else. The second, though, and the biggest proponent of it, is actually misuse. It is people tearing the land up. It's people not respecting the boundaries that are laid out in the rules, and also trash. People just leaving their shit everywhere. And this isn't just the displaced and homeless community. This is also people that go and use the land, whether you're motorized, whether you're out shooting, whether you're out camping with friends, and you're an overlander, whether you're out bicycling, whatever else, running. During the pandemic, I spent a ton of time out in the Badlands, just east of Bend, because it was the only thing that was open, and my dogs and I would go out there and hike and run and have a great time. But I think one of the big things that we all need to be aware of is just that we have to be advocates for our public lands. We have to be stewards of our public lands. As ADV riders, as people who love to be outside, people who love to camp, etc. And so one of the reasons I got so passionate about making this documentary is because I wanted to educate more people about what it takes to keep access to these lands, because we're going to start losing it if we don't start taking care of it. And so I got pulled into that project, and I sit down and talk with volunteers. I also talk with the public land steward founders, as well as members of the Forest Service and other nonprofit organizations that work to help keep the lands clean. I also do have a sit-down interview with somebody who lives out on China Hat Road, who does work with public land stewards and is a huge proponent of trying to help the displaced community stay active with keeping trash picked up, keeping the lands clean, etc. So it's a huge, huge thing for me, and I've loved doing it. And that documentary will also be available in March. The trailer will be released on January 20th. I'm super excited about it. It's been my first big time project, and yeah, it's been incredible. And then, yeah, aside from that, I have been doing other small gigs with working with brands. I've worked with Molecule Motorsports. I've worked with Hippo Hands, obviously with Alpine Stars, Harley Davidson Pan America, and a couple others. And it's just been such a great experience. But okay, pause. Got things coming in. Stock tires on the Transalp. I have no idea because mine are coming off the bike very shortly. I think from a road riding perspective, they're fine. I was able to rip around town, do some twisties. I think I have just about 500 miles on my Transalp just from road riding strictly, and they did great. But the Dunlop tires that I have sitting in my garage right now are going on that motorcycle as soon as possible. So Ben gave his away. Great point. Everybody keeps using the Pirelli STRs. Yeah, Brady, I've heard that as well. I've never put Pirellis on my bikes. I've never used them. However, I have heard they're not wonderful. So again, to each their own, but yeah. Hey, Ben. Do you want to see what Bob said? My Emmy beats your check of 100K. Yeah. And yes, Annabelle hikes. My Basset Hound, Annabelle, is 5.5. She's the cutest thing in the world, other than Tamsin, my golden retriever. But yeah, she's 5. She's basically a tank, and she loves going on hikes. But at the 4-mile mark, she decides she's done usually and sits down. So if we're not back at the car by that point, I have to carry her back, and it's pleasant. Let's see. Is there going to be a trailer release for Talk? Yes, of course there is. There will be a trailer release. We are actually working on having that done. We actually think the documentary is going to be pretty much done at the end of January, and that's when we're going to plan on releasing the first trailer. The biggest thing is making sure we allow a certain amount of time for the writers who went with us to watch the film on their own time, to let us know what they think, and to also give us their own input and insight into what matters to them. Because when we signed up to do this project with VB40, working with the veterans we got to was the most important aspect of that for us. It was making sure that we did the service to them first, which was, oh, sorry, I froze. There we go. I think I'm back. So the biggest thing for us was making sure that we did them the service of telling their stories in the best way possible. And we wanted to do that by essentially, checking with them, making sure they're okay with what they shared, why they shared what they shared, and how we played it into the bigger picture of things. So yeah, we're looking at a trailer release at the end of January, and then a full feature release end of March, early April. All right, what else we got here? How do we get a ride for charity with you and Ben in the spring? I don't know. You'll have to ask Ben about that one. He's way more popular than me. I'm just along for the ride, and he's let me hop on the coattails, so I'm just hanging on for dear life at this point. But Ben, we could do something. Starbucks sprained her tail. Oh, that's cute. Yeah. All right. So PLS documentary. If anybody has any questions about public land stewards, by the way, please let me know. I'm happy to help. Yeah, I'm happy to help connect. If you want to be a part of a cleanup, I would love to get more people out to do cleanups with me, with PLS in Bend and otherwise. But let's see, Jeffrey. Ben, you're more popular, but no, you don't have an Emmy. I do. Sorry, Grace's name is Doctor. We haven't. Well, I guess since everybody's here, We do have a name for the documentary. It's called Silent Battles. That's essentially the, I guess, rough draft title that we have for it. And we'll be working with it from there. But yeah. Hi, Jay. Welcome. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, Veterans Back 40 and the PLS documentary will be coming out roughly around the same time. Very excited about those. And yeah, in the meantime, I've been making a lot of very small moves over the last few months in order to make big moves next year. I will be in Oregon pretty much indefinitely from this point forward. I will be doing videography and travel trips on occasion, but my plan for the foreseeable future is to be staying in Oregon and essentially staying where I feel I belong. I'll be able to do all the writing I want to do, be able to do the training I especially want to do this spring to get better as an ADV writer and a dual sport writer. But I also want to be able to work in my industry and actually have the time to kind of dig my heels in a little bit and film. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to continuing to make podcasts with Ben, YouTube videos for me, documentaries. I actually am really excited because I will be working on a documentary next fall along with Lauren. Lauren is Ride My Road. For those of you who don't follow her, she's based out of Medford, Oregon. And she works for an organization that essentially helps to shine a light on human trafficking issues throughout the US. And Lauren and I are going to be putting together a documentary next fall where she is essentially riding to different areas around Texas. And I'm going to be filming a documentary about her and what she does and how she helps victims of human trafficking to get reintegrated, to make them feel like they're a part of a community again, and just her role in that organization as well. So it should be a really cool piece. I really love Lauren. She's an amazing gal. She's also an incredible writer and is just an awesome person to be around. So if you don't follow her, again, she's Ride My Road on, I believe, Instagram, and she does some really amazing work. So check her out. Is there a BDR in Montana? I think, yeah, I was going to say, I think 2 or 3 years. Okay. Yeah. I know it's been worked on for a while. But yeah, it's not out yet. So when there is a BDR in Montana, I can promise you I will be one of the first people wanting to go ride it. Montana is, if I didn't live in Oregon, I would be there. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, I'm very excited about it. Yeah, NorCal, I believe, is going to be released this late winter, early spring. Again, Ben and I are going to go ride that, I think, the second week of July, do a filming project there, etc. So let's see what else we got. Did I miss anything else? Nope. Any plans to put the podcast on your YouTube, or are you afraid of slumming up your channel? No. Oh man. Hi Will. That's a great question. I'm always afraid of slumming up my channel with Dork. Always. It's just such a burden. I don't know how I deal with it. But no, I'm actually really stoked. The podcast is on Spotify. I posted the video for the first episode on my YouTube channel because, to be fair, the quality of the video wasn't great and Ben was a little worried. But then the video came out and Ben was no longer worried. And originally we had discussed him being the one to release the videos on his channel. So he will be the one releasing the videos for the most part. I will probably occasionally take one or two from him because he tends to have a lot of projects. And if there's ever a week where he can't post the video, I will do it for us. However, I do believe most of the time the videos will be on his channel. I'm going to continue to post a lot of my own content, a lot of, my videography stuff. And I'm sure a lot of writing with Ben since we do that. But let's see. who does podcasts anyway. Ian, so if you guys don't know, Motorcycles and Pancakes, Ian also has an amazing podcast. I think one of the cool things that Ian does is he interviews people within the ADV community and kind of talks about their stories, gets their background, and brings to the table what they love about ADV and just also who they are as people, and shows the diverse level of humans that are in our awesome community here in Oregon and in the Pacific Northwest in general. So if you guys don't already listen to Ian's podcast, definitely check it out. It's awesome. Let's see. Will I be training at the BMW Riders Academy? I don't believe I will be anytime soon. I'm not exactly a GS girl, even though I did own one in the past. But I am always down to ride more bikes, to train, etc. So if I get a chance to go, I absolutely will. But for now, I think a lot of my spring and the trainings I'm going to be doing this spring, as well as I think I have 2 different snow bike weekends planned, I'm going to be pretty packed in. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, down the road, I would absolutely love to. What's the podcast called? Frank, the podcast is called Internet Riding Buddies. It's on Spotify, and the videos will be on Ben's YouTube channel, DorkintheRoad. Yes. But yeah, it's going to be an awesome 2024, guys. I'm really excited. I'm already starting to try and plan out what rallies I'm going to go to. I'm not 100% sure on everything. Right now, it's looking like possibly Revzilla in April. We'll see how it goes. I'm not 110% sure on that one. I've already been to that one before. I will definitely, as always, be a Giant Loop the first weekend of June. Looking at Tour Tech, looking at the Unrally, also looking at Revzilla back in South Dakota. I do tend to like riding there a little bit better. The terrain is a little bit more diverse, and it's beautiful there. I also love Deadwood. I don't know about anybody else, but when Deadwood was on HBO, I was a diehard fan all 3 seasons. And so honestly, as nerdy as it sounds, getting to go walk around Deadwood when I'm there always makes me happy. I don't know why. It's how it is. So yeah, it's always a great one. But yeah, we'll kind of see how the rest of the year pans out. I know there's a lot of opportunity to do rallies later in the year as well. But it just kind of depends how my schedule goes. Let's see. Yeah, Ian, I got you. You know that. Yeah, Brady, Black Hills are great. Yeah, motorcycles and podcast. I always want to say pancakes. Ian's podcast is Motorcycles and Pod Cakes. Yes. It's been a long week, you guys. For those of you who don't know, I took a vacation last week. It's my first vacation in 2 years. I got to go down to Tulum with my older brother for a week and sit on a beach and do absolutely nothing. It was very difficult to get off social media. Also very difficult to kind of even take 3 days, 4 days off and not answer emails, etc. But I did. And then, of course, my last day there, I got what I would call biblical level food poisoning. And yeah, and I had 2.5 days of being utterly miserable on the way home. So yeah, I had a week of kind of detoxing. This is my first night back, enjoying some wine, and had a great dinner with my parents. So I think the body's back to normal, but it was a rough return to reality. Let's see. Let me check it out. Sean, for the record, waffles or pancakes? Waffles. I love waffles. I love Ian very much, but it's always waffles. It's always going to be waffles. And that's just how it is. Yeah, pod waffles doesn't work. Yeah, Ben, Montezuma's Revenge is what a lot of people call food poisoning down in Mexico. I will tell you that we did figure out what it was. There was only one thing that I ate differently than my older brother, and it was one morning I added shrimp as a side because I wanted extra protein. and it was the shrimp. The shrimp got me. So FYI, I also have had a friend get catastrophic food poisoning in Baja from shrimp. So no more shrimp, guys. Just don't do it when you're down there. I don't think it's worth it. Just do the best you can, but no shrimp. Um, Central Oregon ADV rally in Sisters last summer. Sisters Moto, I believe, does events, particularly with Moscow Moto. They did, I think, at least 1 or 2 events there. Oh, there's Ian. Hi, Ian. I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, so I think that Sisters Moto, because we had another bigger motorcycle hangout in Bend and to close down. And so Sisters Moto, I think, is trying to take over that role as the motorcycle cafe hangout spot in Central Oregon. And they are doing events there. They're not really doing like rallies, but they are doing hangouts and stuff like that. So keep your eyes open for that. I will be posting those onto my social media feed as we get more into summer as well. Yeah, Ian. Oh my gosh. Also, everybody, big hello to Ian, Big Rock Moto. I'm so stoked you're here, man. Yeah, we were talking about the Transalp earlier and how you and Ben and I all love it. So, yeah, if anybody has any questions for Ian, please ask. Again, like I said earlier, I think Ian loves the bike as much as Ben and I do. So, sorry. Sorry for the haters. And yeah, Ian, we're going to be doing the Northern Cabger in July if you want to come with us. Don't hide under your desk. We got this. And oh yeah, for all of you guys that don't already know, we all got paid by Honda to get these bikes because, you know, that's reality. Yeah, I wish. Let's see what else we got. Oh, Brady, get out of here. Tenere. Honestly, you know what I hope happens? I hope that your Tenere 700 breaks down and then Ben and I and Ian all survive the trip. And I say that with love, Brady. You know I love you. Yeah, official Honda. Yeah, we're so official. Yeah, I did get 2 Czech guys here. I know. Yeah. This is just what happens when you love Transalps this much and Honda's paying you. We all hang out together. Oh my God, Ben. Sorry. Don't mean to laugh, you guys. I'm just trying to catch up on comments. Yeah. Okay. So I will say this, and this is just a prerequisite because I don't want anyone out hitting me up thinking that, again, this is sponsored by Honda. I'm not sponsored by Honda to have got one of these bikes. Neither is Ben, neither is Ian. But I am very stoked because, again, I've worked with Alpine Stars for over 2 years now, and I love them. They're great gear. I swear by it. But I'm very stoked because I am actually going to be getting a adventure suit that is Honda sponsored. So we're going to be getting very snazzy with that. It's going to be great. Let's see. NorCal route, it's supposed to be pretty easy. Yeah. Hence why we're going to do the NorCal route, I think, with these bikes, Brady. And also for me, because I think Ian and Ben and you are all incredible riders. I'm very much an intermediate level rider, especially with that type of stuff. And so while I am okay definitely pushing my limits, again, it's not a matter of that. It also is a matter of filming gear and things like that and not wanting to damage what we have. So making sure that we're equipped for all the filming we want to do, but also get to have a good time is important. And that also means making sure we're on terrain that supports that. So let's see what else we got. Check, I'm American. Ooh, yeah, Ian, T7 versus Transalp deathmatch. Let's do it. That sounds like so much fun. I'm so down. And let's see. And if you got a Honda check in the mail, I'm just proud of you, man. Stoked for you. I wish. I really wish. Maybe someday, but it's not today. Oh my God. But yeah, this is the time of the live because I know after an hour people tend to whatever, but I want to ask, obviously, in the holiday spirit and wanting everybody to contribute, what is everybody going to be doing this coming season? Are you going to be doing BDRs? Is anybody doing any fun trips? Does anybody have any fun things coming up? What is everybody else kind of have on their docket? Because I think one of the cool things to do as a community sometimes is come together and talk about all the fun things we're going to get to do. Yeah, Trav, I know you're working. And kind of build from there because there are other writers that may not know about certain things like what the TAD is or even that the Northern California BDR is opening, etc. So if anybody has any input, any insight of what they want to do, I would love to hear about it in the comments, other than just sifting through these, which are, by the way, hilarious. Yes. Okay. So Honda's the last company. Never going to happen. Frank, thank you for being here. Stoked to have you along for the ride, man. Yes. Okay. Also, let's talk about Chris Crittermoto's event in September. So Chris does this amazing event called Get Lost, Find Yourself. He'll be having the second one in September of next year. I believe it's the third weekend in September. If I'm wrong, Chris, correct me. But it's an incredible event. It's focused on not only adventure riding and dual sport riding in Vancouver Island, which is one of the most beautiful spots in BC, in Canada, but it also is a great opportunity for people to get together within the community, talk about mental health. You talk about all of kind of the great aspects of what ADV riding provides for us, whether it's an escape, whether it's therapy, we call it throttle therapy, right, etc. And it's an amazing event. But if you didn't get to go last year, I highly recommend going. I didn't get to go last year because unfortunately the week before my grandma passed, but I can't wait to go and be a part of it next year. It's going to be an incredible experience. So there's definitely that event. Hold on, I missed some things. I'm also, Moab BDR TAT. That's a big list, Crashy. I hope you get to do all those things. Mike, Giant Loop, Wabder. Yeah, got you, man. That's going to be great. Yeah, I think kind of having at least 3 things is a nice goal going in. It's always hard. We never know what fire season's going to be like. We never know how dusty things are going to get. We also never know how hot it's going to get. I remember Trav and Ben and I were talking about trying to do part of the Oregon BDR during a week in August and ended up being over 100 degrees every day. So we vetoed the project. But there's just moments like that where you can plan ahead all you want, but you just have to make a game time decision. But yeah, Giant Loop for sure. Get Lost, Find Yourself. Yes. Yeah, Ian and Chris are going to be doing an incredible trip as well. I think there's going to be more info coming out on that, but they are going to be doing a lot of the BDRs in the Western US from border to border. It's going to be an incredible project. Will be really cool to kind of see where they go and what they do. Yeah, Ben is, I don't know if you guys know this, but Ben has decided to princess out and he's only going to be doing pavement riding. So have fun, Ben. Let's see, Brady. Yes, awesome, Brady. Stoked for you, dude. Ian, I figured you'd be doing a lot of rallies. A lot of the rallies are going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Ian, you should come up for the Unrally in June. If you want info on it, shoot me a text or email me. I'd love to have you. It should be fun. I haven't gone yet. This will be my first year, but really stoked about it. Also, if you want to go to Giant Loop, we would love to have you too. Let's see. These are looking great, you guys. Arizona BDR, SoCal BDR. Hell yeah. Honda headquarters. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh. So glad some people are joining in. This is wonderful. Yeah, I guess another question throughout. Does anyone have a favorite BDR who's done a couple of the BDRs? Does anybody have a favorite um, trek that they like doing? Anything like that coming into 2024? Also, this is a question that I'm actually curious about because I've never been on a snow bike before. Who's been on a snow bike? Because I think this is a really exciting thing for those people that live in snowy environments and don't get to ride when it's winter. Obviously, you can always try to ride, but it's probably not the safest. So I'm wondering how many dual sport riders, how many ADV riders have actually done snow bikes and who's enjoyed it? Because I'm looking forward to trying it, but no idea what to expect. Um, yes, Will, the Canadian Rockies are incredible. I did that in August and September of 2022. Such an incredible experience. I think one of my favorite parts of that summer was riding through Banff and Jasper National Parks. Just unbelievable, unbeatable scenery. Even really just being along the Icefields Parkway was spectacular. Yeah. Yeah, Jay, we do have it made out here. This is where all the good writing is for sure. Oregon BDR, Jeffrey, yeah, for sure. Um, Alabama Hills. Interesting. Brady, I'd love to pick your brain on that at some point. No snow bike. What is dryland mushing? I have no idea what that is. If you want to explain that to me, I would love to understand. Section 345. Sections 345. Cool. Awesome. Snowmobiles. Yeah, Gary. I've done snowmobiles. They're very fun. I just think the snow bike thing is so interesting for all of us that love to be on snow bikes. It would be such an experience. So if I enjoy it, I'll do a live about it. We can discuss and maybe we can find a way to get some people hooked up and get a discount code and give it a try. Yeah, volcanic sand is always an interesting, call it moon dust because it doesn't make any sense to ride on. It really is its own thing. And anyone who hasn't ridden in Oregon has no idea. It's so bizarre. But let's see. Dogs pulling carts, dog sledding on wheels, falling in snow doesn't hurt nearly as much. No, it doesn't. But you can get buried in a well and suffocate in snow, which doesn't really happen to you when you're on a motorcycle. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's a little softer, but the risk might almost be higher for it. I'm not 100% sure on that, but in general, here we go. But yeah, does anybody, I guess, to kind of start to wrap things up here, if anybody has any questions about my travels through 2023, traveling through Southeast Asia, if anybody has any questions about filming, if anybody has any questions about the projects that I have upcoming with VB40, Public Land Stewards, etc., please throw them out there. I would love to answer them. If anybody has any questions about upcoming events and things like that, I'm going to be doing my bike build starting the first week of January. The first video for that will be released, I believe, starting the third week of January, just for editing purposes. But I will be doing a full aftermarket build by myself, which is, I'm sure, going to be both exciting and terrifying and hilarious because anyone who knows me very well knows that I can be a bit of a klutz. I also have never really had the opportunity to learn more of the mechanical aspects of maintaining and building out a motorcycle. So this is going to be a first for me. I have no idea what to expect. I am probably going to break some things, hopefully not myself, and do the best I can. Yeah, so I'm sure it'll be entertaining. And I think the big thing, though, and the big lesson I want to show people with doing this is that even if it's hard, you can figure out and find a way to do builds on your own. I think that's what makes it fun. And I also think it's about what educates you the best on your motorcycle. And I've never had the opportunity to do it before. And I'm so excited not only learn about how to do this with a bike, but to really learn about motorcycles for the first time from a very different perspective. Let's see. Well, Trav, you fell in a lot of sand last year, man. So of course, I'm sure you didn't enjoy it. There's a lot of you almost getting destroyed by your motorcycle flying over you. So yeah, sand is better than that, I think. Yeah. Bike build, yeah. Yeah, Ben will probably be in the corner drinking and yelling at me and telling me what I'm doing wrong while I'm doing the bike build, at least for a couple of episodes. I also am really stoked because I am going to have some what I call guest mechanics come in. So some of the owners of the companies and brands I'm going to be working with will be coming in. So like Seth from Molecule Motorsports, Brian and Drew from Hippo Hands, etc. Like I'll have a lot of those people kind of come in, hang out, talk about, their brands, their product, why it's important, etc. So it will be really cool. It will be very in depth, but it will also be fun. It'll be a good time, hangout time, and also watching Grace try not to hurt herself time. Yeah. Thanks, Crashy. Hopefully I can do it. Looking forward to, yeah, awesome. I know. Anyway, yeah. All right. So if there's not any more questions, does anybody have any more questions about the bike build? Does anyone have any more questions about the Transalp, the podcast with Ben? Anything along those lines, throw it in the nice little chat we have over here. Other than that, I think what I'm most looking forward to this year is riding. I think a lot of you know, just from following me, that I've touched on this before talking, but I was in a wreck that I probably shouldn't have survived in June of 2022. And that was when I like to say I was at the peak of my ADV riding capabilities because I didn't have any fear. I excelled very quickly and I learned very quickly and I got very good at adventure riding and also at dirt riding because I was not afraid. And I wrecked outside of the Alver going about 65 miles an hour on the gravel road and I had a concussion. I actually still have a bit of the fracture in my left scapula, but I essentially had a hairline fracture down the entire bone on my back left shoulder. I strained almost all of the ribs on my left side. I think I probably fractured one as well as my intercostal muscles. And I did actually crash and I had my concussion, I also thought that I had collapsed a lung because it took me about 30 minutes to be able to breathe again, like fully breathe again. But that wreck was something in a weird way that I think was very healthy for me because I was getting to a point with my riding where I was becoming reckless. I wasn't being mindful of myself, of my bike, or people around me. And I needed it. I needed to remember that I'm mortal and that I can hurt myself. And so as a result of that, one of the best things I did do in the aftermath of that wreck was I got back on the bike, even though I literally could not lift my left arm. So I had to pick my arm up and put it on the handlebar. And I could use my hand, but I didn't have the ability with all the strained ribs on my left side to lift my arm and with my fractured scapula. And I was able to ride to the Alvord and kind of recalibrate what to do from there. But it was a big setback for me as a rider because I had never had fear as a motorcycle rider up until that point in my life. And having fear is very important. Life is very short and one mistake can cost you hugely. And we all need to remember that. I'm not trying to be, not trying to be the wet towel at the party, but it's just something that I think we all need to be mindful of. And it's something I'm looking forward to working past this year is by the time I get to the end of 2024, I want to be back to where I was at that point and not a reckless rider, but a smart rider and a good one at that. So hopefully with taking some training this winter and spring, I can start to build those blocks back up and get there. But that's what I'm most looking forward to this year. Let's see what else we got. Moist Oregon. Why hasn't everyone hit like yet? It's great. Out of bounds. Happy holidays to you too. Thank you. Ben, why did I decide to do a podcast with Ben? Could you not find a goat or some kind of chicken to record with? I mean, I could. My parents have an assortment of animals on the ranch, but apparently people like you, so I figured why not. Oh, yes. Welcome to the shenanigans, everybody. Yeah. Yeah. I hope no one has a crash experience like me. I hope everybody gets to just enjoy this and make the most of it. We obviously all have our crashes and our falls, but um, I think it's so important to remember, and this is also a PSA of wear gear. Always wear gear. You never know when something is going to go wrong, and it's always important to keep yourself protected. So make sure you're always wearing the right equipment to protect yourself so you can keep riding another day. Why is it when I bring up that ride, one person always mentions a friend that dies riding? Um, I think one of the reasons Moist Oregon, I'm not sure if this is something that happens with non-motorcycle people or motorcycle people, but non-motorcycle people, I think, tend to bring it up because it's a fear aspect for them and they're projecting their fear. Other motorcycle people, I think sometimes it's just a topic of conversation. It's very much like, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? It happens. But I tend to get that more from non-motorcycle riders of like, oh, I had a friend in high school got in a wreck. And I tend to also see that a lot of the wrecks that people refer to that were when they were young or whatever else are usually people that aren't wearing gear. It's usually people that are riders who are really not even wearing helmets and they're just not paying attention when a wreck happens. They get hit by another car because someone in the car isn't paying attention, etc. And honestly, that's when the bad stuff happens. Or drinking and riding, which I don't recommend for anyone ever. It just inhibits your judgment. So everyone just be mindful always. And also, when you're in a group of people, watch out for everybody. Make sure people are wearing the right stuff. And if you have extra and can bring it to a group ride, it's always good to have it. I always bring extra gloves and an extra jacket to group rides because there's always one person that doesn't know or doesn't have protective gear on. I used to do this when I ran the Litas branch in Bend, Oregon. I would always bring a protective jacket because there's nothing worse than watching people ride without gear and worrying about them. So let's see what else we got. Yes, I healed up and I'm still alive. Here we are. Yes, Brady, great point. Always having an emergency system for when you're back road or off road is very important. Being able to have somebody come get you if you get in a wreck. I also know that while there are people that do a lot of solo riding with rough terrain, one of the best things you can do is never ride alone. I think it can get really dangerous if you ride alone because if something happens to you, even something small, there's just no guarantee you're going to get yourself out of there. So buddy up, have a way to communicate, and always make sure somebody else who's not out riding with you knows where you are. Let's see. Crashy, that's why you're probably crashy moto, is you have a tiny crash every day. Yes, Ben, exactly. Statistically, the vast majority of accidents involve intoxicants, excessive speed, or improper gear. 100%. Yes. Yes. Gear up, ride sober, ride at a reasonable speed. Yeah, that's all you can do. Yes. Learn to corner a bike. Yeah. Yeah. The big thing is just be mindful. Take care of yourself. Be smart. Ride smart. Don't do anything too stupid. We all have those moments. I have definitely had my moments riding without a helmet in Alvord. We'll never do it again. Definitely did it once, but no excuse. I'm very lucky that I'm here, but that's it. Anybody else have any questions? By the way, the riding through the Alva without a helmet was not during my wreck. When I got in my wreck, I was fully geared up. And that's the reason I'm still alive. So, nice. All right. Any more questions? Is everybody having a good holiday? I guess the holiday weekend starts today. So, yeah. Is anybody doing anything fun for Christmas, for New Year's? Anybody traveling? I'm going to be in Missouri. I get home to Oregon next week. I'm so excited to be home to my dogs. God. I definitely love being on the road and getting to do a lot of this stuff. But right now, all I want to do is be back in Oregon with my puppies. Let's see. What bike am I building? Jay, I'm building out my 2024 Honda Transalp. Yeah, the 750. Jeffrey, yeah, you have friends. You just need to ask. You have an entire chat of people you can have go ride with you whenever you want. But yes, as long as you have a brother stocking your Garmin, that's all that matters. Yeah. My first motorcycle. This is a great story. All right. I fell in love with motorcycles when I was probably like 14. I don't know about all of you, but all of the badass women in pop culture around the time all rode motorcycles. So Trinity in The Matrix, Lara Croft, Lisbeth in Girl with Dragon Tattoo, etc. And so when I was approaching 16, I desperately wanted to get my motorcycle license. It was something I really, really wanted. But my father, being a physician, after having seen, particularly in Missouri, a lot of old dudes on Harleys not wearing helmets or any gear and getting into wrecks because they're intoxicated, made me swear that until I was done being educated, which at that point I was looking at being a doctor, a physician, and so it was going to be a while. He made me promise that until I was done with my education, I would not get on a motorcycle or ride a motorcycle. And I love my parents. So out of respect to them, I made them that promise. I ended up not going to medical school. I ended up graduating at 22. 2 days after I graduated, I was in an endorsement class where I got my license. And then the next week, I spent a lot of my money to buy, I believe it was a 2001 Honda Shadow. And it was a 700. And I have never been more excited about anything in my life. I had that Honda Shadow for a couple of years. I rode the shit out of that bike. I loved it. I rode it everywhere. It made my parents insane. However, I fulfilled my promise, and that was all that mattered to me. But that was my first bike, and much to the chagrin of my parents, it's also around the time when I started getting tattoos, so they really thought I was going to the wayside at that point. All right. Subjects. Anybody else? Going to the cabin in Northwest. Nice. Oh, birthday on Christmas Day. I always feel so bad for all of you guys. That's just kind of the worst. Moist Oregon. No, I'm not an Oregon native. Also, Paul, no, I didn't quit school. I actually just graduated normal rates at 22 with the bachelor's. I just ended up not becoming a physician. I wanted to become a writer, and I did become one. It's just, unfortunately, that's not a very lucrative industry anymore. Let's see. Oregon native, right. No, I moved to Oregon. I actually moved to Portland with my ex in 2016 and lived in Oregon for a couple of years. I moved out to Bend, Oregon in 2019. And one of the reasons I moved out to Bend was because I was going through a divorce, and I wanted to go to a place that was wonderful and beautiful and outside. And I loved Bend. I had been there a couple of times for my 30th birthday. I'd climbed South Sister. I'd skied at Bachelor. And I just remember every time I would drive out of Bend, I would just say, this is someplace I could live. And so when I had the chance to start my whole life over, that was where I went. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made because it's my home now and I love it. And I just love Oregon. Oregon to me feels like home. Tell us about your books. So I have 3 published books. There's a 4th on the way. I'll tell you guys about that. So my first 2 books are actually the first 2 of 3 in a historical fiction thriller trilogy. I wrote it under a nom de plume. Whiskey Emerson was my nom de plume. And the title of the first book is called West of Hell. The title of the second book is called East of Hell. The third book in the trilogy that I actually plan to finish in 2025 is called South of Hell. And I started writing these books when I was living in New York City 2 lifetimes ago. And they're essentially a series about a 19th century. It's basically about New York City in the 19th century and about a young man and the wonderful cohort of people he works with that kind of run New York City's underground. It's a very cool series. It's very like later Gangs of New York meets like 19th century Batman, I would say. It's very fun. It's very violent and it's not for everybody, but I was very stoked about the fact that everybody that I know who read the books loved them. And so at some point in 2025, I'll finish the series, if anything, just for myself and for the lovely cult following of people that love that trilogy. But yeah, it was very fun. I wrote another novel called Rashanem under my name. I wrote that during the pandemic. It's essentially a book about the pandemic and what would have happened if the pandemic was worse. And it takes place in Bend, Oregon, and it essentially is very much like a Mad Max, all-female type of gig where you have a group of women surviving in Bend, Oregon, and trying to live through kind of the onslaught of the apocalypse in that town. So it's very cool. Again, probably a little violent, very adventure-driven, and very fun. And yeah, those are my 3 books. All of them are available on Amazon. I believe Rashanem is only on the electronic, but you can find all of them on there. And at some point down the road, I'm hoping to find a new publication for them or publisher for them, but we'll see how it goes. I just finished my book about my year of living on the road. It's called The Renegade, and I'll be starting to pitch that to publishers here shortly. But it essentially just follows my year of selling all of my belongings, leaving Bend, Oregon, and deciding to live off my motorcycle for about 13 months. And what that did for me as a person, what that did for me spiritually, mentally, and how it changed me in a bunch of really amazing ways after going through a lot the first 30 years of my life. So yeah, all very exciting things, but yeah. All right, let me catch up here. Great story. Plan on keeping the Transalp for a long time. Yes, I do. I don't plan on giving the Transalp up. When I bought that bike to keep it. And that's actually one of the reasons why I'm selling Lorraine, as much as it pains me, my CB500X. I can't have 3 bikes in the garage. I won't ride them. So the Transalp will be my main bike. I'll obviously keep my CRF 250X for the time that I need it. I will probably end up buying a KTM 150 at some point, probably for dirt, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, but the Transalp, I think it's probably going to be for life. Yeah. Wolverine. Yes. So Moist Oregon, the historical fiction thriller books are under Whiskey Emerson, my nom de plume. Rashanem, my sci-fi apocalyptic novel, is under my name, Grace Schuessler. Hey, it's not nom de plume is pen name. Sorry, that's not being pretentious. That's just my inner nerd coming out. So don't listen to Ben. Yeah, I know. Team Orange. I'm never going to buy a KTM that's above a 500cc because I think that's when they start to really become problem children. However, I will buy anything under that. And I actually had a 350 XCF for a while before I left Bend, and I missed that bike every day. So I will probably be getting something along those lines down the road, but I need to be able to buy another bike first. And that means I need to be filming a lot more documentaries soon. Yeah, you would know, by the way, Ben. Any other questions, everybody? We're hitting the hour and a half mark. I don't want to keep anybody longer. Thank you to everybody for being here, by the way. It's been so fun getting to hang out with you. I'm sorry about the horrible backdrop, but when you live in a storage unit, when you're visiting your family, this is kind of the best you got to do. And so I did at least try and throw some lovely rugs behind me to make it a little better. You don't want to see what I'm looking at. It's all boxes. Yeah. Let's see. Hi, Carl. Carl, I'm so glad you're here. Also, please tell Kendra I say hi and want you guys to come visit as soon as possible. Yeah, please, for anybody watching, if you're ever in Bend, please know you can always hit me up to go ride. I'll be in Bend next week. And if you're ever around, if we ever get a warm week and you want to bring your dirt bike down and go hit some trails, please hit me up. I'm always down to go ride. I'm never going to be the fastest rider, but I'm the first person to want to get out and go. So just definitely know that that avenue is available to you. And I'm always here for that. Let's see. Well, Ben, you already do that anyway, so that's fine. Yeah, Carl, please come down and visit. Would love to have you and Kendra down here and the little man. You guys are the best. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. I guess because it's the holidays and I'm a huge sap, I also just want to say for those of you who have kind of been with me since I started doing this almost 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago now, thank you. I never really imagined I would get to this point where I'm a videographer and this is my life. I never really imagined that motorcycles would become my life. And I'm so grateful that I worked for that, but also that this was the happenstance of events and just fate coming into play. You know, motorcycles are something we all love very much. It's something that makes our community so special. And this community is very special. The adventure riding community is unlike any other community I've ever been a part of. I've never felt more welcome. I've never had this many friends. I've never had this much support in anything I've done. And so, really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here with me, for enjoying this experience with me, whether it's motorcycles or just watching me be a goofball or, you know, following me through all the videography adventures I have. I appreciate all of you so, so much. And I don't know how I could ever thank you for that support other than to say, just stick with me. It's only going to get better from here. But yeah, I'm just a writer with a video problem. God, I could not have said that better myself. I am a writer with a video problem. Yeah. But yeah, it's been an incredible journey and you guys are a part of it with me. So thank you so much. And yeah, I guess if anyone has anything else before we sign off here, hit me up real quick. But I'll just read through these last couple real fast. Let's see. Yeah, perfect. Cool. Yeah, awesome. Again, if anyone is ever in Bend, in Oregon, please hit me up. You can find me on here, Instagram, The Graceful Renegade. I am always open to go ride. And yeah. Oh, Ben, shut up. Anyway, I love everybody. Thank you so much. Have a great, great holiday. If you need anything, you know where to find me. And as always, just live wild, ride free, and enjoy the life you have. I'll talk to everybody soon. Have a great holiday season. Cheers.